Hello, this is BioEnchanted, and welcome back to Bolt for level 3. This level's a bit trickier, and has a few moments where I die for stupid reasons. But it's one thing I quite appreciate with this game so far is that the tutorials aren't intrusive. They don't stop the gameplay to tell you how to do the thing. They just put a little prompt going, by the way, this is how you deal with this. And I really appreciate that, because it keeps the flow of the game going. Although this level kind of spoils that by separating out Penny and Bolt's thing, because she still has her own level after this, going through this level. But it just kind of shows you what Penny is doing at the same time, because it's kind of happening at the same time as Bolt's. It could potentially have been more elegantly done, but that's just how they chose to do it, and the level's fine. It introduces a mechanic that's quite fun, and it expands on the combat quite nicely, but we'll see that in a few minutes, once they've taken out these standard goons. One thing I quite like with the enemies in this game is they all have really cute official names based off their weapons, like these guys with the electric claws are Chloe. And later on there'll be guys with whips called Whippy, that kind of thing. Like, they're all just kind of the weapon with the Y on the end, and I find that really adorable. But yeah, there was actually a very wide variety of enemies. I'm looking forward to getting to those, but for now we're dealing with Chloe's. As I try and get the hang of comboing, but I'm not very good at comboing in this game, but by the end of this level it will become necessary to combo well. And we'll see that why when we get there. I quite like the look of this level though. It's very colourful, and the greenery adds a nice contrast to the ruins. It's a very nice looking level, even if it is a very generic set piece. But then again, it's based off of in-universe show that's meant to be kind of generic anyway, so I can kind of understand that. And the game does some very interesting things later on, but we'll get there. For now, it's some fairly basic setup for the plot of the situation. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of easy to get caught out by the Chloes because they have very fast animations, so it can be kind of hard to get a good dodge in sometimes, or to like notice when they're about to hit you. For example, that guy, for example, as you can see, the Chloes, of course, have the electro claws from the beginning of the movie, which means they can fire electricity in short arcs, which is something you have to be very careful of with these guys, because even if they're quite far away from you, they could potentially still hit you with that attack. So it's about here where the enemies start really showing what they can do, and these are only the most basic enemies in the game, the Chloes. They get much nastier later on. They get much nastier enemies as the game goes on, of course. And this is the next mechanic, Super Bark. Now we have Super Bark, we have most of our powers at this point. We only have one power we've not got yet. And something I quite like with the Super Bark is there's a certain situation in the, I'll discuss that when we get to that point later in the level, but for now I just quite like the Super Bark. It's another way of stunning enemies alongside the ground pound attack. And because of the fact that all the Bolt's powers are, yeah, that's unavoidable. That is really annoying. It's an annoying way of tutorializing that particular thing. But that's just what that's there for. It's to teach you that those are nasty, to avoid them. And now the actual tutorial comes up to tell you how to avoid them. And then I was stupid, so... But yeah, because the Super Bark is added to a shoulder button. Of course, each power is basically just on a shoulder button, which means you can just, with the press of a button, you can use that power. Which means during fights, you can pull out any power at any time, as long as you have the ability in the power meter on the top right to actually use the power. And as the game goes on, we get longer power meters, it will become feasible to use the moves more aggressively. But for now, we're going to have to be a bit sparing with them. I mean, these guys aren't too bad right now. We're okay to just kind of play with the powers at the moment and just kind of show off how we can vary them. Like, because it's just on one button, we can just press the button and the power happens. There's no, like, Street Fighter-ish combos or anything like that. And so you never really have a power where it's like... Because I always hate that in games where a particularly cool move is really hard to use, because then you just never get a chance to use it. Or if you're playing a game multiplayer that has that kind of a control scheme, the cooler moves never get a chance to come out because the opponent's just button mashing at you, and you don't really get a chance to pull out the cool combos because they're not letting you. It's that sort of thing. But this prevents that by allowing you to actually just use the powers with a button press, which keeps things interesting and keeps it dynamic and keeps the flow of the fight in general going fairly nicely. Of course, the problem is it can be quite easy to run out of power meter. By the end of the level, I'll have a lot of problems with that. Also, this super block is very satisfying, just the way it kind of like knocks them back that badly. Because generally, these super block and ground pounds have quite a satisfying effect on screen, and I quite like how aggressive it feels to use it. The invincibility power rather, is less impressive at the moment, but it will have its day. It's just at the moment there's not really much need for it because the power meter can be better used for the super block and ground slam. It's best to just really avoid enemies by dodging around them with the super speed than it is to use the shield to become invincible. But the shield does have its uses, it's just not yet. And here I really kind of messed this up after this point. So we need to avoid this, but what I seem to kind of like get through this by accident, because what you're meant to do is, when the helicopter fires its missiles at this stage, you're meant to super block them back like you and I kind of like, it went a bit weird when I tried to do that. As you can see, some of it hit me, but then that happened and the missile still got, I think one missile hit me, or maybe a couple of the missiles hit me, doing a lot of damage, but then the third missile got boxed back and finished the helicopter off. I think that's what happened there, because I think it seems like the helicopter only takes one hit. I think generally I didn't realise that though, because on previous playthroughs I've always forgotten to do that, and then the game tells me to do the thing and the fight ends. So the helicopter always takes a bit longer to deal with for me. But that's just an odd moment anyway, and now I'm very low on health, so of course inevitably at the beginning of the next fight I'm going to die stupidly. But it checkpoints fairly nicely. I'm just trying to kill this pot so I can get some health back. A little bit, but it's not going to help. But that's what the environmental stuff's for though, is getting any lost health back, if you can find enough of it. So this guy is the first fairly dangerous enemy, because the whole idea with him is, with the Disky, I think they're called, or something like that. He's the guy that fire, like, to throw discs at you. What you have to do here is, they're actually unhittable because they're very defensive. So what you have to do is stun them with either the super bark or with the ground slam. And of course that's also where the invisibility can come in handy, is blocking his projectile attacks. But of course the problem with this fight I'm having at the moment is that I miss with the super bark, wasting a lot of my energy, and also I make the mistake of using some of my powers on these goons when I really should be using them for just building combos and just beating up in general to get my energy back so I can do that to him. But one thing I'm trying to do as well is I'm trying to take out these little vantage points in the corners that you can see, these little statues you can stand on, because that gives him less places to hide effectively. But the problem of course is now I'm out of energy, and that makes this very annoying to deal with. That's something you have to be really careful of, is not running out of energy in this game, especially early on when it's very easy to make that mistake. As you can see though, they're very dodgy enemies. And a lot of the enemies later in the game will be in a similar kind of way. Use the goons to, that aren't too dodgy to build your meter back up again. And then stun them so you can actually hit the enemy that's causing problems. But the fact that they all have very different move sets makes them very interesting to fight, despite the fact that you fight them in very similar ways. Because you have to watch out for how each one of them attacks, and how best to avoid those attacks. And here we're coming up to the final mechanic of the level as well. Supercharging. Now what we need to do is get a good combo. The combo will fill our little round meter, and then we can supercharge our powers. And something that's really satisfying here is when you use the supercharge on the Super Bark, it actually has the same echo effect as it does from the beginning of the movie, which makes it feel a lot more powerful than the standard Super Bark, because it echoes a few times when it's used, and that helps it feel a lot more impressive. And that's a level over. So next time, we'll be playing through this same level, but from Penny's perspective, as she moves parts of the temple out of the way to activate the entrance so that Bolt can get in there. But we'll see that next time. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and goodbye.